Alright, so over the last few months or so, I have found myself trapped down a rabbit hole that I just can't seem to get out of. That rabbit hole is called Victorious, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure how I ended up here. But in rewatching it, I have discovered that the internet is deeply divided when it comes to this show. There's a lot of discourse surrounding this program, with some absolutely loving it and others treating it like it is the worst thing to ever happen to television. Well, I've decided that it's finally time for me to throw my hat into the ring, join the chaos, and overanalyze this iconic Nickelodeon teen sitcom. Now, I actually watched Victorious when it first aired. In fact, it was pretty much the only Nickelodeon show I watched, but more on that later. Over the years, I've constantly been reminded of it, for one good reason. This show was originally engineered to launch a massive international pop star, one to rival Disney's Miley Cyrus. And it succeeded. Kind of. Victorious was Nickelodeon's flagship project, heavily marketed as the next big thing. And the talent they assembled was honestly wild. Elizabeth Gillies and Ariana Grande both came straight from Broadway, where they starred together in the musical 13. Meanwhile, VictoriaJustice, the star of the show, was already a Nickelodeon veteran, at just 16, after her run on Zoe 101, before that show got cancelled for, well, reasons. Set in the prestigious fictional high school of HollywoodArts, the series followed our six main characters as they try to survive teen drama and make it in show business, leaving behind a legacy of zany humor, bizarre politics, and a surprising amount of risky adult jokes. But to me, that all adds up to its charm. It is exactly what makes it stand out from the rest of Nickelodeon's lineup. So let's dive in and look at Victorious, warts, weirdness, and all. So our star is, of course, Tori Vega. In the pilot, her life is completely flipped upside down to pure chaotic happenstance. She gets forcibly thrust into Hollywood arts after filling in for her sister, Trina, who is suffering from an hilarious, engorged, swollen tongue. It is total accidental stardom. The series takes place in an elite performing arts high school, where only the most obsessively talented kids get in. Every student gets to custom design their own locker to match their personalities, whether that means installing a fully functional musical keyboard, paying homage to their favorite movie, or plastering it with chewed bubblegum. It's the kind of magical place where students casually break into synchronized dance in the hallways, and your acting teacher openly admits to failing his psych evaluation. Let's be real, Hollywood Arts is a school we all wish we could attend. Everyone is gorgeous, everyone is wildly talented, and no one ever seems to do a single second of actual boring homework. It is into this hyper-stylized paradise that Tori is thrown, as a resident ordinary girl who just happens to have amazing cheekbones. And because she's a new kid, we get to experience this wildly entertaining, beautiful fever dream right along with her. However, this I have since discovered is where some of the controversies begin. I found out, while climbing down this rabbit hole, that Tori Vega is not liked by many. From what I can gather, this is for two main reasons. One, she's boring, and two, she's not a nice person. Let's start with the latter and move on from there because this is the easiest to defend. Tori is a nice person. Episode after episode shows her doing nice things and going out of her way to help those around her. In the pilot, you see her helping her sister with a big showcase, and in later episodes, you see her helping Kat pay respects to a dead TV star. She also goes the extra mile to help her teacher when he's depressed. These are all examples of her helping her friends. Now, some may point back to the pilot and her kissing Beck, Jade's boyfriend, in front of her. But in her defense, at this time, Jade is not her friend, and the only interaction to have had up to now is Jade forcing her to bark like a dog and pouring iced coffee over her. I'd be pissed too.
What's the prob? Dog.
Then there's the claim that she's boring. Tori's a lot of things, but boring isn't one of them. Is she the most eccentric character on the show? No, but she is a go-getter who puts herself out there to pursue her dreams. She's meant to be the relatable every girl anchor for a cast of wild personalities. Another issue I see coming up is that she isn't the most talented of the group or didn't deserve all the chances she got. Tori is the main character of the show. The show was made for VictoriaJustice, and all storylines revolve around her. Some of this criticism is retroactive. It is due to the possible rivalry between Victoria and Ariana, and the fact that Ariana became the international pop superstar Victoria was meant to be. Looking back, yes, it would have been better if the other characters got more songs. Grande didn't have a single standalone solo song, just a few duos in the start and end of the series, alongside some brilliant comedy songs with Robbie. Seriously, after re-listening to Staying Home Tonight, I wish Ariana had released a country album. Also, relating to this complaint is that Tori interferes in other people's affairs. Once again, this is our main character, and most storylines do center on her. This is common in TV shows, especially sitcoms, and her heart is always in the right place. She wants what's best for her friends, and also Jade. So let's talk about Jade. She is an absolute fan favorite, and it is easy to see why. She is the classic mean girl, but with a distinct alt-goth edge. Jade is snarky and sarcastic with everyone, especially Tori, which lands her some of the absolute best one-liners in the entire show.
What up with the disco?
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong thing.
No! 15 years ago, your mother gave birth to the wrong thing!
Over the series, Jade becomes one of the most well-defined characters. We learn she has a deeply unhappy childhood.
You didn't have a happy childhood?
My favorite toy was a hammer. You finished the puzzle.
Her parents are divorced, and she has a strained relationship with her father. This is most evident in the episode Walk Star, where she is desperate for her father to approve of the play she wrote. We are told that her parents disapprove of her artistic ambitions. This hostile home life clearly took a toll on Jade, and depending on how generous you want to be, it either made her deeply untrusting of people or a total bitch. Throughout most of the show, she dates Beck. The relationship seems toxic at best, but she genuinely loves him, and he might be the most stable thing in her life. It is unclear if the rest of the gang are her friends or his. If she wasn't dating Beck, would she even hang out with them? That said, she does share a genuine friendship with Kat, and the two regularly hang out on their own, even if it doesn't always go to plan. Kat Valentine, where do we even begin? In season 1, she may seem to be just a ditzy, red-haired airhead. However, Kat changes the most as the season progresses, the transformation fans often refer to as the season 2 lobotomy. In season 1, she's just a bit spacey and prone to mood swings, but by season 3, she's practically a danger to herself. But what do we actually know about Kat? She loves her friends, and she loves Bibble. And while we never see too much inside her house, we get a ton of alarming backstory. The pilot heavily implies that she has a bipolar disorder, and the show repeatedly references her special medication and psychological issues. And it's not just Kat either. Her unseen brother has severe issues of his own, serving as the show's best running gag.
One time, my brother painted part of his body purple.
Why did your brother paint part of his body purple?
He had a job interview. He didn't get it.
Things are actually so bad at home that near the end of the series, her parents essentially abandon Kat to stay near the facility where her brother has been committed. But hey, fun show for kids, right? Despite all this trauma, Kat shines. She is incredibly talented, deeply caring, and honestly kind of a horn dog.
Hey, Sinjin,
Yes?
do you have a girlfriend?
No.
You have a credit card?
Yeah?
Why don't you call me sometime?
Really?
She is constantly flirting, and her segment on the slap literally involves her inviting cute boys into her room. But as the series continues, we get major signs that she has feelings for one boy in particular. And that boy is...
Robbie Shapiro!
Bobby Shapiro is another divisive character on the show. He is a titular nerd, but unlike other nerd archetypes, he's not seen as being academically nerdy or into typical geeky stuff like comic books. At this point, comic books were becoming mainstream, so depicting someone as a nerd or an outcast because they like Star Wars was becoming outdated. No, instead, Robbie is portrayed as socially awkward and with other certain issues.
Checking for adult diapers.
You never really see him bullied, or at least not in a typical way. He isn't shoved into lockers or getting his head flushed down the toilet. His main friend group treat him fairly well, with a genuine friendship with Andre and Beck. Jade, on the other hand, but then Jade is mean to everyone. It is his relationship with women, however, where most of the controversies arise. He's always seen as hitting on Jade and Tori, and there is some history there with Kat. But it is with Rex that we may see Robbie's true form. I'm not going to lie, Rex is my favourite character on Victorious. Along with Jade, he's some of the best one-liners. Rex is a puppet, or so we're led to believe, controlled by Robbie, and in which one can see Robbie expressing his true feelings.
My singing was not off.
Man, your whole life is off.
Every time Rex opens his mouth, he's insulting Robbie. Or, to put it another way, Robbie is insulting himself, criticizing himself, and is basically being bullied by himself.
Come on, Rob. You want to be a loser the rest of your life?
I'm not a loser now.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
When Rex is not insulting Robbie, he's hitting on one of the girls on the show, or maybe saying something that one shouldn't.
Hey, Trina.
What?
You want to know my two favorite things about you?
The Victorious is known for two things. The first is introducing the world to Ariana Grande, and the second is its somewhat adult sense of humor. Looking back at the series, it seems like every episode contains at least one line that can be interpreted as an innuendo, with some jokes being less subtle than others.
Easy now, don't start something you can't finish.
While adult humor was not unusual in children's television at the time, and other Nickelodeon shows also included suggestive jokes, Victorious seemed to lean into this more heavily, making it one of the show's defining features.
Oh my god, no, no, no!
Wow. Never heard that from a girl before.
One explanation often suggested by fans is that creator Dan Schneider wanted to move beyond traditional children's television and work on more mainstream comedies, but was unable to do so. As a result, Victorious, with its older cast, high school settings, and teenage audience, may have provided an opportunity to push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable on a Nickelodeon sitcom. That said, most of the humour was still written using a dual-layered approach. Younger viewers could enjoy the characters' reaction and the absurd situations without understanding the underlying implication, while older viewers and parents could catch the extra meaning. This style of writing has long been common in family entertainment and was designed to keep multiple age groups engaged at the same time. Although some jokes feel more questionable when viewed through a modern lens, the majority were intended as harmless comedy rather than genuine explicit content. Whether you find them funny or cringeworthy today, the show's willingness to push the limits of Nickelodeon's humour helped Victorious stand out from many of its contemporaries and remains one of the reasons people still talk about it years later.
I've always gotten A's in music. How does a person go from an A to a D?
Happened to me in 8th grade.
Yeah.
But if we look back on Victorious and Dan Schneider from that era, one thing that does come up often in discussion is feet. There is a lot of feet stuff in his shows. When I was originally watching Victorious and iCarly, I noticed this, but I didn't think of it as anything being weird. My thinking at the time was that they thought feet were funny and gross, and that was the reason. Also, the foot was the logo of Nickelodeon at the time, so I assumed it was all connected. One thing I would like to point out though today is that while a lot of people talk about the feet and a foot fetish, no one ever really seems to mention axillinium. That's your new word for today, guys. All that being said, there were definitely some weird choices made. It would make you wonder what was going on in the writer's room. And what did he end up doing to Jay then? This kind of humor and sarcastic edge was one of the reasons I did enjoy the show more than others at the time. And there is a reason for that. Okay, I have a confession to make. One that may make you see this analysis differently. After I explain, I would encourage you to watch back this video with this information in mind. When I watched Victorious for the first time, I was a full-grown adult. My previous video was on Saved by the Bell, in which I mentioned watching after school. So you do the math. I don't remember how or why I started watching Victorious, but somehow I did. I have never seen an episode of Drake and Josh or Zoe 101. The last Nick show I had watched was Keenan and Kel. It was the time before I just started streaming everything or watched YouTube videos all day long. I just had basic cable and flicked around until I found something to watch, and for whatever reason, I chose this. I think, looking back, one of the reasons was that the show did remind me of Saved by the Bell, so in a way, felt nostalgic.
Just shut your face and let Mr. Belding teach!
Thank you, Zach.
It does have many similarities with that show. They're both set in a Californian high school, and both follow 6 principal characters around, 3 boys and 3 girls. Also, both in the early episodes focused on a love triangle, although Victorious did drop this pretty quickly. In many ways, you can transpose the characters from one show onto the other. Tori is Kelly, Jade is Jesse, Beck is Zach, Andre is Slater, Kat, I guess, is Lisa, and Robbie is, of course, Screech. However, while Saved by the Bell was led mainly by its male cast, Victorious is led by its female characters, with many of the main plots centered around them. Not that there wasn't anything young boys might find entertaining in the show, though. Being an adult watching, I obviously picked up on all the adult jokes and references that younger audiences might not get, which I like to think enhanced the show. Another feature of the show that kept me coming back and that we cannot forget about is, of course, the music. The music absolutely banged. As mentioned earlier, one of the main goals of the show was to turn VictoriaJustice into Nickelodeon's next big pop star, in the mold of Miley Cyrus or Selena Gomez. While that ultimately did not happen, the show still delivered an impressive catalogue of songs that have remained surprisingly popular long after it ended. My personal favourites, unsurprisingly, include Give It Up, Take a Hint, and LA Boys, with a special mention going to You're the Reason and its acoustic version, as well as the cast cover of I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. Even today, many fans remember these songs as clearly as they remember the episodes themselves. But with the good comes the bad, and we have to talk about some of the issues the show had. Like most sitcoms of its era, Victorious was highly episodic, with no real overarching plot points. But as the series went on, it became increasingly ridiculous, leaning way more into surreal sketch comedy than a structured teen program. This is evident in the episode Drive Tori Crazy, where the entire plot is basically just a series of bizarre sketches of the characters giving Tori a ride to school. By the way, was Jade really going to kill her and bury her in the desert? Was she going to make her dig her own grave? The show could get surprisingly dark at times. Remember another episode where Kat casually takes 911 calls about car accidents and never seems to send any help? Still, despite how wacky it got, I always found it charming. And let's be honest, clips like this will never not be funny.
Car battery!
On the flip side, other episodes, like where they're all trapped in Wankos, just end abruptly, as unfortunately did the show. The show got cancelled for reasons you can speculate on below, so this is literally the last scene of Victorious. But this may not be the end. It's been announced that we're getting a new spin-off series, HollywoodArts, releasing on Netflix later this year. Honestly, it's not that surprising. Networks will reboot almost anything these days, and after the success of the iCarly revival, a Victorious follow-up felt inevitable. However, this revival is taking a massive gamble. It's a Victorious spin-off without VictoriaJustice. Instead, the show is set to star Tori Vega's older sister, Trina Vega, played by Daniela Monet. The premise? Trina returns to HollywoodArts as an unqualified substitute teacher to mentor the next generation of eccentric kids. Now, this seems like an odd choice. In the original series, Trina was intentionally written as untalented completely narcissistic and the butt of almost every joke. No one liked her. Basing an entire series around her is a massive risk. Then again, it's hard to see how else you could realistically reboot a show like this. If you look at iCarly, Carly and Freddie were best friends, and Spencer was her brother, so it makes sense that they're still be in each other's lives. Plus, their show was built around internet stardom, a concept that has only grown over the last decade. Victoria's, on the other hand, was entirely confined to a high school, and even if you could, by some miracle, get the whole original cast back, what would you have them been doing for the last 13 years? Did Kat stick to childminding? What about Tori? Did she make it? Having her come back as a famous pop star could be seen as facetious, while not doing so could just be mean. What they seem to be doing, if I could get back to my previous analysis, is making Saved by the Bell the new class. And I'm not certain it will work. While it's premiering on Netflix, it's also being produced for Nickelodeon. But if it has to follow Nick's strict guidelines, they won't be able to lean into more mature adult themes. It will be aimed squarely at 12-year-olds, completely ignoring the original now adult audience, many of whom don't even have kids yet old enough to watch it. That said, I'm absolutely going to check it out, even if it's not for me. I hope it succeeds and finds its audience. And with that, I leave you. I hope you enjoyed this video of me rambling about a kids show I was way too old to watch when it originally aired, but still loved anyway. Drop me a comment below telling me what you want to see from the HollywoodArts spin-off, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time, where we'll be discussing I Spit on Your Grave. Just kidding. Until next time.
I heard you swallow.